So I got a phone call from Carl this afternoon saying, hey, I'm at this bookstore downtown and they have a bunch of gun-related books. Do you think this one's a good buy? And I said, well, clearly you must be deluded or eating mushrooms or something, because bookstores don't carry firearms, interesting firearms reference books. It doesn't ever happen. They carry like a copy of the Blue Book of Gun Values from 1983. Like, that's what you find in a bookstore. It's like, well, no, they actually have gun books. And so I ended up going down. Carl bought a couple, and then I showed up about an hour later and bought in a whole box full of stuff. By the way, this never happens, but this is absolutely a great way to build a library when you find it. So I have two copies, two of the different volumes of Skennerton's book on the Martini. These are awesome. They're not the world's greatest books. Like, it would be wonderful if someone put out a better book on the history of the Martini, but this is absolutely the best that's out there, and they're completely out of print and stupidly expensive. I think on Amazon, this one is $500, which is one of those joke prices that no one's gonna pay. I got one copy of the Gun Report because I had previously picked up a whole collection of these, and I can't remember if I have this one or not, but for the price of one little one, that was the only one they had. Why not? Round Shot and Rammers, an introduction to muzzle-loading land artillery in the United States. Not really my area of specialty, but it was there. That's a good opportunity. That's how you learn new stuff. Kind of the same thing with this, a pictorial history of underhammer guns. I'm not hugely interested in underhammer guns. They were all commercial, civilian stuff, but I don't have any good books on them, so this will be my reference. I have several on Colt, but another Colt reference book. This is one of those books, one of that style of books that were published, I'm gonna guess in the 70s. Published 1954, so close. That is usable, but the advent of the internet has allowed far better communications, and modern books are going to have a lot better, more complete information, but some of this stuff is still good and useful. A little teeny book on the development of the British Brodie helmet, because that's a why not. A copy of the Emma G's. This is a World War I memoir written by Herbert W. McBride, who, it's a much smaller book than his main one, which is called A Rifleman Went to War, which is an outstanding memoir of World War I from an American who was pretty much a crack rifle shot, who volunteered for the British Army and went and fought in World War I before the US was actually in the war. A copy of the first edition of The Devil's Paintbrush by Dolph Goldsmith. I will always buy a collector grade book unless the price is stupid. This is a cool one. This is on the British .256 inch model 1907 carbine. And if you're trying to figure out what on earth is the British .256 1907 carbine, it's the Type 30 Arisaka. The British actually bought Japanese Arisakas. I have one other part of this British secondary small arms series, and I don't know when they were printed, I don't know who printed them, they're all spiral bound sort of handmade things. I would love to find the rest of them, but this is part 1, Arisaka Rifles and Carbines. I did not know this book existed, British Artillery of World War I, but most Ian Hogg stuff is kind of random, meandering storytelling stuff instead of actual reference, but this guy appears to be at least, piece by piece reference on different British artillery pieces. Little short thing on British .303 cartridges. The Blunderbuss. This will give me one video. I will do a video on blunderbusses, thanks to that book. I think these are both Skennerton. Yeah, two Skennerton books that aren't excellent, but again, they're like the best material on the subject available. So Australian bayonets and then Australian rifles and bayonets. Also, everything Skennerton's written basically is out of print. These are pretty cool. Seriously nerdy kind of cool, but Gun Tools, their History and Identification Volumes 1 and 2. And it's screwdrivers and cleaning rods and that sort of thing. And it's not that uncommon to find a pile of weird old gun tools. Gun shows are just like lying around, and I did not know that these books existed before I noticed them in this little bookstore collection. All these books, by the way, apparently were an estate sale. That someone kid brought in all his dad's books, and it was like World War I, guns, and motorcycles, and just sold the batch to the bookstore. So, and then the last two these are actually still in print by Schiffer. They were asking half the cover price, so I figured, I think I have one of these, but I can't remember if I have both, and I'm honestly not sure which one I have, if it's only one. So since they were asking half the cover price, I figured I'd buy them both, and I will resell whichever one I have a duplicate of, and get my money back. So these are some of the cool new Schiffer books in the last 5 or 10 years that actually are reasonable reference books, thanks to information technology and the internet. So this is like the single greatest haul I've ever gotten from an actual bookstore. You never find military technology gun books in a bookstore. So that was really cool. That's my exciting thing for the day. Right, Dharma? Yes.